feel like I just went to the NC State Fair and everything I played. I'm happy to be here today to share with you a very important idea. Chickens can save the planet. Really. And it's not exactly what you might think. Local food, slow food, sustainable agriculture, that's all great. That's all great. But underneath that lies a far deeper need, the greatest need mankind has today. We have lost our connection to the earth. Chickens can help us restore that. I have a burden for people that have lost this connection, that are no longer grounded, that are no longer in touch and interacting with natural cycles, that have lost their connection. And my mission, in general, my mission talking to you today is to help people discover and enhance their connections with the earth. My first experience with chickens was when I was 5 years old. My family visited a farm, and the farmer handed me a hen, and there I am, this little boy with a double armful of hen. That hen laid an egg right in my hand. What an intimate connection. Now, I know you've had experiences that you might look back on. Could I have known? Could I have known that day how profound that moment was for me? Anyway, so I was well prepared some 8 years later when I had another experience. How many folks in here remember Charles chips? There you go. There was a point in time when potato chips could be home delivered, and they came in cans like this. The rest of the story involves a Charles chip can. Forgive Grace, she's only 23 weeks old, and this is her first public appearance. She's very nervous. My best friend came over and wanted me to go meet this kid that kept a bunch of backyard poultry, and so we went off to this kid's house, and in his city backyard he had a couple of turkeys and somewhere between 50 and 100 quail and just bantam chickens running everywhere. And nearby I spotted underneath an oak tree a Charles chip can with a hole cut in the side. And inside that can, on the nest, sat a hen on a clutch of eggs. And I knew right in that moment that I wanted that I had to have that in my life. So I negotiated with the kid $5 for the can, the nest, and the whole, eggs, all of it. Took it home. A week later, she hatched her chicks. Amazing thing. Potential egg sandwich becomes fully functioning chicken in 21 days. You try that. Okay? Chicken can save the world. I kept chickens off and on for the next 20 years or so, and then circumstances evolved to where I no longer had chickens. But at that time, I was working for a corporation that required me to go to England a lot. And the thing that I noticed in England was that many yards had hens in the backyard, and nobody thought anything of it. Commonly done, widely accepted. And I thought, why not us? So I came home and built a coop, and we had a few hens, and word got around. Here we were a mile from the Capitol building in downtown Raleigh with chickens in the backyard. Found out we were not alone. So, other folks had coops. Bev Norwood, my wife, Judy Morgan Davis, and I got together and talked about putting together a chicken tour. And in 2006, we had the first Inside the Beltline tour to coop. Similar to the garden tour, except that there were coops in the center of each of these gardens. Now we thought maybe 50, 100 people might come by, might have a little interest in chickens, and this was neat. We'd get to talk about something we really loved. At the end of that day, 1,000 people had come through our backyard, visited our coop. We saw that there was a profound a huge interest in people desiring more information about chickens. So at that time we decided I would share, fall back on my science teacher background, and we started teaching Chicken Keeping 101. At first, a few people crowded around our computer, later moved it to a large classroom setting, and as of this day, over 700 people have attended Chicken Keeping 101. But why keep chickens? What is all this about? What is this interest people suddenly are, I think, reviving? I'm not sure that it's really all that new. But we're doing it in a new way. And more importantly, how are chickens coming to the rescue? The answer to that is a story. We met a family who had a teenage son who had for years wanted to have chickens. And they decided now was the time, it was right. And so the father and son, as a project, built their coop and came to us and got 4 pullets, and they had their flock started. I saw the father about a month later. He's a gentleman that had a very high profile, high stress job in a local corporation. And I asked him how things were going with the flock. And he said, everything's great. We really love having the chickens. But I never realized they would change me. I said, what do you mean? And he said, I come home from work and I go out and I sit by the coop and I sit with the chickens. And as I sit there, I just become present with the chickens, and all the troubles of the day just fall away. So you see, this man's chickens weren't even old enough yet to lay eggs. Because it's not about the eggs. What had happened was through these chickens, this man had found a connection to the earth. It's all about what they can do for us. But the eggs are great. The eggs are great, no problem with the eggs. In fact, they're fresher, they're healthier, they've got about 1/3 less cholesterol than commercial eggs. They've got 5 to 10 times the amount of the desirable omega-3 fatty acids. And you'll be really proud. They make really great goodwill gifts for your neighbors. But there are lots of other reasons to keep chickens than the eggs. It's just not about the eggs. Oops, other way. Other left. Lots of other things chickens will do. They'll eat insects. They'll eat snails and slugs. They'll eat weeds, and more importantly, they eat weed seeds before they ever get to hatch. Here's a flock doing that very job for us. Soil improvement, they'll turn the soil. Now, I am not a good composter. I am outstanding at making large piles of compostable materials. But I refuse to babysit garbage, so I don't turn it, and it doesn't compost well. Chickens will turn it every day, and while they're doing it, they'll add their own special black magic, and you come out in the spring with the most wonderful compost you can imagine. Now, here's an idea for you. You like local food? You want to know where your food comes from? Go catch yourself a fish. It is really fun to catch a fish on a fly you have tied. It's even more fun to catch a fish on a fly you have tied using feathers from your own chickens. This rooster's taking this just a step further. He's doing the fly fishing for you. Yes, you probably think that's pretty strange. We were driving down the road and saw this, and I just had to stop and take a picture. As a fly tying, fly fishing chicken keeper, I had to have that picture. Chickens are beautiful. They've been called living garden accoutrements. There's a wide variety of breeds and colors, varieties within those breeds, and you can see them all at feathersite.com. from where we learned these images. But I think there are far larger reasons for keeping chickens than we have already discussed. Psychological, perhaps even spiritual. People describe to me a nostalgia, a return to a simpler time and place from keeping chickens. They're really funny. They do some of the silliest things. And we've already had a story about tranquility. So let me talk about natural cycles and get us connected back to natural cycles. What the Industrial Revolution gave us was this linear process where we took natural resources, we input them on one end, we made a product had a lifespan, out the back end came garbage for the landfill. It hasn't taken us very many centuries with that linear process to pretty much mess up this planet. Compare and contrast that with nature, who, oh, by the way, has run perfectly well for millions of years without our intervention. How does that work? In nature, everything's cyclical. Everything's circular. The output from every process is an input to some other process. That's how nature works. And through the chickens, you come back to see the natural cycles. One of the ones that amazes me every year, we have the winter solstice around the 21st, 22nd of December. Hens will start laying eggs the last week in December. Birds respond to photoperiod. That's what triggers their laying eggs, photoperiod. Can you tell that the days are longer on the 27th of December than they were on the 22nd of December? No, because it's only a minute or two, maybe 3. But the birds sense that. And that keeps me reminded of cycles and things that are just greater than my comprehension can handle. The most interesting to me, of course, as I've described already, here's Precious on the right sitting on her clutch of eggs, and in 21 days, potential egg sandwiches become fully functioning chickens. That's just incredible to me every time I see it, every time we do it. Do I look stressed? These ladies are totally present and in the moment. They're 100% connected to the earth. It's the only thing they're even thinking about. And oh, by the way, they don't think about yesterday, and they don't think about tomorrow, and they don't think about bills, and they don't think they don't like the music the guys next door are playing. They're just totally present. If you hang around them, you will be too. Testimonials after testimonials after. And they're wonderful pets. They're wonderful pets. Great companionship from the chickens. And did I say something about it not being about eggs? My wife's allergic to eggs. But my mother-in-law carries pictures of her grandchicks on her wall. They all have names. All right, there are some misconceptions. I'll call them myths about chickens, and I don't have time to detail for you today, but we'll try to quickly debunk some of these. Okay, chickens in and of themselves have virtually no natural odor. Okay? Just not smelly. Anybody notice the chicken's been in the room all day, by the way? In nature, they sleep on tree limbs at night. They have virtually no night vision because of the structure of their eyes. It would not be a good adaptation to have much of an odor. You're sitting out in the open like that when the night predators are prowling. So any of those got selected out of the gene pool thousands and thousands of years ago. Okay? The thing that makes people think chickens are smelly is because they've driven past commercial operations. But the way people keep their pets in their backyards, the way people have backyard chickens, does not involve any accumulation of filth. Hence, cackle is music. That is the sound that throws people back to a nostalgic remembrance of their grandmother, their childhood, and so forth. I see agreeing smiles in the room. Okay, but let's talk about sound for a moment. A normal conversation can be about 50 decibels. A hen can cackle up to about 60 decibels. A dog can easily top 100 decibels. And oh, by the way, when's the last time your dog fed you breakfast? A rooster is not required for eggs. Ovulation occurs without the presence of the male species. I'll leave it at that. Chickens can be very long-lived family members. The two hens that I showed you on the slide that were my little Earth connection example are now 10 years old. Chickens can easily live up into their teens. And let's talk about bird flu. The one strain of bird flu that has had any involvement with humans is the H5N1 strain. That has never occurred on this continent. In spite of the media sensation created around it, it has never occurred on this continent. I've been told by a poultry extension expert that if it ever did, probably the backyard flocks would be the safest of all. There are very few diseases that are transmittable between people and chickens, and for the most part, nobody's keeping their backyard chickens in a way that they're sickly and transmitting it. Chickens are beautiful. Can't tell you all about eating chickens right now, but you need to consider the chickens themselves. One thing people don't realize is in chicken breeds, there are different temperaments across different chicken breeds. This is a dark Brahma Bantam, a very tranquil breed. At some point when she's mature, she will be more tranquil. She's not doing bad right now. And then there are their basic needs of housing and feed and help. There are lots of books. There's internet information, and I teach a class, Chicken Keeping 101, that can help you with this information. If you're just curious about coops, not quite ready to keep some yet, come on the tour. Inside the Beltline Tour to Coop. It will be next May 21, 2011. If you want information either about the class or about the tour, go to insidethebeltline.blogspot.com. Or I think there'll be a link off the TEDxRaleigh website to the blogspot. Here's my real message. Get connected, however works for you. You know, for you it might not be chickens. Although, people that try it, it's amazing. It's amazing. I've had this over and over. I told you the story earlier about the family. I've had that story times 100 happen to me, where people talk about how they are changed by their chickens. But get in touch with whatever you need to do. If it's not chickens, walks in the woods, gardening, birding, fly fishing, whatever works for you, do that. But get back connected to the earth, because once we got to get back into realizing that everything's got to get back to a cycle, not a linear process. It's absolutely critical at this time that we do that. Now, I've introduced one way that can happen. Get people connected back to the earth. And that, folks, is how chickens can come to the rescue. That is how chickens can save the planet.